Marvel's having a great time right now. Look, I'm not about to jump on the bandwagon of dunking on the MCU. In the past week alone, there's been hundreds of videos saying the MCU is dead, Marvel went woke, now broke, and whatever you want to call stuff like this.
Do you like this? Do you like this? Well, no more.
I do agree that Marvel is going through a bit of a rough patch, but to say that something like the Marvels underperforming is going to stop this billion-dollar company from making these still relatively successful other films is, in my opinion, moronic. And to be honest, I think stuff like the Marvels, Secret Invasion, and Quantumania underperforming is actually a valuable learning tool for the studio, and I think we will see some genuine improvement moving forward. That's enough about Marvel as a company. Let's talk about their latest movie and TV offerings, because I just checked out The Marvels, and Loki Season 2 just wrapped up as well. I'll start off with The Marvels. So this movie is essentially serving as a sequel to 3 separate projects, Captain Marvel, WandaVision, and Miss Marvel, so let me quickly go over what I thought of them. I initially didn't think much of Captain Marvel. It definitely felt out of place in between Infinity War and Endgame, but upon a rewatch, I found it a lot more enjoyable. I'm not crazy about Brie Larson's performance, but I found it to be pretty fun, and it's carried by its solid supporting cast. WandaVision, I really enjoyed watching it week to week and seeing how the mystery would ultimately be resolved, but I think that the resolution was incredibly underwhelming, and towards the end it lost the charm and uniqueness that helped it stand out in those first few episodes. And then there's Miss Marvel, which I actually loved. I'm a sucker for the more down-to-earth Marvel stories, and Iman Vellani was such a breath of fresh air to the bloated ensemble the MCU has built up over the past few years in Phase 4 and 5. So with all that, I was pretty excited for The Marvels. While the press around the movie wasn't ideal, I had faith that seeing these 3 together and being backed by a really great director in Nia DaCosta, that The Marvels would at least be entertaining. And I got that. Mostly.
Captain Rambo?
I think the strength of this film is in its leads. Iman Vellani, Brie Larson, and Teyonah Parris' chemistry on screen really elevates a less than stellar script at times. Vellani in particular is well deserving of all the praise she's received, and at times she is carrying the movie on her back. Her enthusiasm and passion for the material leaps off the screen and brings some much needed energy to some of the duller story beats. And dull is sadly how I would describe this movie. It's playing into that very dry Marvel formula that, again, I'm optimistic we'll be seeing a change to very soon. The story is your run-of-the-mill team-up story where they don't want to be a team, but then over time, and I mean a very short amount of time, they come together as a team to stop a generic villain. And I do mean generic villain. No disrespect to the actress, as she's been talented in other things, but she's just doing the Ronan the Accuser character again. And while she has a bit more motivation than Ronan, she lacks any kind of presence, and the film gives us no time to really understand her as a villain. And just when she starts to become a little more interesting and you think they're gonna go in a unique direction, she pretty much vanishes from the movie. Speaking of no time, the pacing is all over the place. This is the shortest MCU movie at 1 hour and 47 minutes, barely over 90 when you're accounting for credits. And while I normally appreciate movies sticking to shorter runtimes, this one feels like it's rushing to the finish line. And at times, it even feels like very crucial scenes and information were removed to just keep the thing moving. Overall, The Marvels was completely serviceable Marvel fare, which is, at best, when it's focusing on its 3 leads, and like many MCU properties lately, quickly falls apart whenever leaning into the countless tropes, the lame third acts the MCU has been stuck with over the past few years. There's much more insultingly bad MCU films out there, and since I haven't actually seen Secret Invasion, I can't even say it's the worst MCU thing to come out this year. I would really like to see this team up again, just maybe with a better script.
a good kitty, Goose.
I can't. Can you?
I got it.
Oh, wow! That is relatable!
I also wrapped up the second season of Loki, and I guess it's also the series finale? If you've seen the last episode, you know what I'm talking about, but to get my basic thoughts out of the way, I really loved Loki Season 2, and while I think I need a full rewatch of Season 1, I feel confident that this season trumps it in just about every way.
A little over the top, don't you think?
I thought it was spot on.
What really makes Loki Season 2 work so well is the characters, but unlike the Marvels, I think this one does a much better job juggling them, and lets them be the focus rather than an expansion of the MCU lore. There's some great new additions to the cast this season, like Ki-hee Kwan, and cast members like Owen Wilson and Gugu Mbatha-Raw really get to shine, with Wilson being the standout for me. I also have to give a shout out to Tom Hiddleston, who just nails the Loki character so well, and I do really hope that this is the last time we see this character, as the way the series ends is the perfect swan song for him. And that's what really sets Loki apart from the Marvels and some of the other MCU projects that have come out recently, and that's the fact that there's a clear direction and having a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. This season builds wonderfully off of where Season 1 left off, and does a great job setting up the threat of the multiverse and Kang. Whether we'll see that come to fruition, we will just have to wait and see, but I think Season 1 and Season 2 make for a perfect little series, without sidestepping or becoming bogged down with teases for future movies and shows. The direction this time around has also gotten so much better. The camera always feels like it's moving, and every shot feels like it's done with purpose, and to advance the story. It never feels like there's a boring static shot in the bunch, and even for the quieter scenes, it knows how to keep two characters talking feel so much more impactful. Any issues I have with the show are minor nitpicks, and overall, I think the show should be held as the template for how the MCU should handle their slates moving forward.
Come on, you're the god of mischief.
Always have been. Always will be.